You're like, why do they still have those up? Because it.
Call the school board meeting January 21st to order. We'll just start off with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to just share with board members that I got an email today from William Bike. He has resigned as of this morning from the school board. So I've contacted the selectmen in Antrim to see what they'd like to do to fill that vacant position between now and when the elections come up in March. So I suspect I'll hear back from them the next day or two. All right, points of pride. Superintendent.
Our points of pride was a teacher who was going to come with a student tonight, and then something, personal reason came up and they had to cancel. So they are going to be at our next meeting.
Point and the agenda is for public comment. Is there anyone in the audience would like to speak to the board? Not seeing anyone. We'll go to my favorite part, student representative, Ryan.
There's been quite a bit going on at Conval where today was our last day of our first semester classes. So some kids are super excited for next semester classes. Some kids are sad to leave the classes that they're currently in. We also had last week the boys slalom team won their race and got to bring back a trophy to Conval, which was really cool. Tomorrow at 3:30 we have the a basketball game. The unified basketball team has a game at 3:30. So if anybody can make it or is free at that time, it'd be nice to at least stop by and watch them for a minute. And then a lot of things have been going on in the theater also. We had tryouts not too long ago, and then the Winter Scenes project is also in its workings and going pretty well, it seems. Yeah.
Any questions for Ryan from the board members? Same procedure, Ryan. When you feel you need to leave, I guess tomorrow's finals, is it not? Yeah, so maybe if you need to, it's okay. Communications, Curtis, please.
Thank you. First, I'd like to extend my thanks to Alan Edelkin for his past service as chair of this committee. Alan's work ethic and dedication are always commendable. Thank you, Alan. The Communications Committee met this morning as well as last Tuesday. We have largely been focusing on the upcoming community forum, which is scheduled for February 12th at 7 p.m. in the Lucy Herland Theater at the Conval High School. The snow date for the forum will be February 19th, also at 7 p.m. in the theater at the high school. During the forum, we will be making presentations to the community around the warrant articles that are being put forth by the district. The topics will include the proposed budget, the collective bargaining agreement, the petition warrant article, property tax bills, and the withdrawal warrants. We've also drafted and approved a letter to our state representatives regarding the reduction in state special education aid funding. This was in your packets, and it will be passed around for your signatures later in this meeting. Thanks.
Any questions for Curtis? And remember, the letter is one that we asked Communications to put together for us last board meeting so that we could sign it and send it forward. And I believe Curtis is going to bring that to the Selectmen Advisory Group for their approval also and signatures.
Yes, I'll do that Thursday.
So we had several discussions, one of which was we'll defer discussion until we get to the actual warrant article itself on the budget. Might make some changes to what you see in your package there. We also talked about briefly about the community forum that Curtis just mentioned. We spent a lot of time talking about the petition warrant article, which, if you're all familiar with, would establish a $29,000 per student. purchased the Consumer Price Index for Boston and New Hampshire, and it's also tied to a change in the student enrollment. We think that there's some questions we asked about how the petition warrant article will be used. For instance, they didn't specify a date for the index on inflation. They usually when you do that, you usually specify a month, a year as the baseline. They didn't do that. And there's also questions which we're working with the DOE about the availability of their data on the student enrollment, the EDM data. Normally it's filed until March each year, based on the previous end of the fiscal year. So in other words, it's normally published final 9 months after the previous year, which would make it unworkable for us from a standpoint of knowing what the budget numbers are going to be before we give our superintendent budget guidance. So we're probably going to have a special board meeting prior to the deliberative session to have our council come in and brief us and the moderator on what kind of changes, if any, are allowed to be made to the petition warrant article. But we could have more discussion on this when we get to our recommendation tonight, whether it's supported or not. So I don't think there's any reason to go over that twice. So besides that, we didn't talk about anything.
Any questions from board members? All right, thank you, Jim. Consent agenda. Doc. Always raise your hand. Yes, you can, always. Do we have approval of the manifest?
This evening, we do not have approval of the manifest. It has not been prepared. There's still some approvals waiting for each individual manifest, so we'll have that next time.
All right. Maybe there was a message there I didn't get right off, Thank you both. Consent agenda. Any questions for board members? Thrilled to see there's a math teacher, an additional math teacher. That's wonderful. Yep. Yeah. Any questions for board members? Great. Seeing none, we'll move to superintendent's report.
So the first thing I have on is the petition warrant article. In your board packet, I included a copy of the petition warrant as well as the ours, the relevant RSAs. So I wanted to talk about it here because we're about to talk about calendars. And one of the things we have to do is count 15 days back to March 11th. And then, but no later than 30 days back. So we have a 15-day window. And we need to schedule 9 public hearings. We have the hearing, board petition, article, and each of our towns. And they cannot be on the same day. So when we get to each calendar, you'll see that in the February calendar, Brenda has dated out and those meetings we didn't include Sundays. We didn't include Saturdays because February have to identify. Have a quorum. So wait,
Make sure your mic is,
Oh.
thanks, Janine.
Where will these forums be held, these public hearings be held? Are we going to do them at the schools if there's a school? Okay,
So it'll just be Sharon that we need to
put in their
find
meeting
a
house.
place.
I think they have a meeting house. Okay, So it's our choice, because we don't have to worry about scheduling, right?
Yes, we need to check with schools. I don't know if, did you even get a chance to do that, Brenda? No. So,
We just have to make sure we have a quorum at everyone. 6 people have to be there?
I think
6 to 12?
7.
7.
7, we have a 13 member. So, we probably should sign people up. People should volunteer.
Absolutely. I think we need to make sure that people can, once we identify the town and the school, who will be there. And as board members, you can maybe share the load. I'll go to all of them. So, we'll need at least 6 members each time. Dan?
Yes.
Yes, of course we can. Yeah.
So we thought about, the 2 that we have thought about are on the 12th, we have the community forum at the high school. So we thought about having the public hearing for Peterborough that night at 6:15 in the library. We'll check on that. Oh, well, actually, we could have it right in the Lucy Hurlin Theater, couldn't we? And then the following week for the, we have a school board meeting. We were thinking about having that at Greenfield. There was a special request from, and so since she has to go to all these meetings, I figured that was the least we could do for Brenda. But then we were just thinking of scheduling one every night from the 10th to the 14th. We have to do a Friday. And the following week, the Monday to Thursday. And we'll just plug them in. We'll have to contact schools and Sharon to figure it out. But we also have to post a notice 7 days before the first meeting in 2 public places in each town and in the paper. All right.
So I'm making a suggestion that once you check with all the schools, find out if these dates are available, and with permission of the board, just assign a town to the date. And then we'll ask for volunteers to sign up for that school. So if you get the agenda because you know what schools are available, so pick a school and then send those dates out to the board members. The board members just make Brenda aware that if you can make that. And then when we have our board meeting, because you gotta send that out 7 days. So we would need to be able to
Send it out.
send it out sometime during the week of the 27th. So if people would sign up, so we can do that, and then Brenda can plan on those 7-day notices based off of the number of people in the building. So
We're gonna do one, we can do one notice.
okay, does that work for all of you? So once you get it out there, just let Brenda know. Once she gets 6, we'll book that date, and then just keep going down the line. So I don't know if you draw this as start as far away and then move inward, or start inward and move out. I guess it'll depend on the availability of the building, because during February, there were sometimes book fairs, things like that going to school. So, yeah, well,
Happy Valentine's.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Wear red.
Yeah.
Your wife will enjoy it.
That's it.
You could all bring someone special and say, what a treat I have for you, a special night out, Thank you for being so willing to help. Go ahead, Ann, I'm sorry.
Well, I think the other thing that would be helpful to us is with nighttime, do we want to do a do you want to stick with a 7? Do you want to do a 6:15? Like, we're going to do the 6:15 on the night of the community forum. Would you rather do it a little bit earlier? Does anybody preference?
Okay,
Is
those
it-
who want to
is-
go early, give me a thumbs up. Those who want to go later, give me a thumbs up.
None of the above, doesn't matter.
Doesn't
Okay.
matter. All right. Early as we can. 6:30 at the earliest. Okay, 6:30 at the earliest. I'm getting a lot of heads nodding. Yes. Okay,
Except on the day of the community forum.
right.
And the school board meeting.
Yep.
Be 6:15.
When it can work, we'll make it 6:30. All right, thank you.
Okay, so we'll back up to the January calendar. Say the 21st. Okay, so this week we have Selectmen's Advisory on Thursday. Anything else? Okay, next week we have Policy Committee on the 28th.
Can we add communications to the 28th as well?
And 9 o'clock,
Yep.
right? Anything else next week? Okay. The first week in February, we have deliberative session on the 4th.
Can we add another communications?
Oh, yep.
Thanks.
And do you want to add a board meeting before deliberative session?
Yes, I think we should do that just before.
Oh, deliberative session's at 6.
Well, we got
That-
it's 6 o'clock. So if we're gonna have a board meeting and we're gonna have a discussion before that, 5 o'clock. We're gonna need an hour for, and then people need to get to the gym to set up. So let's say 5 o'clock, on the 4th.
On Wednesday is our snow date for deliberative session. On Thursday that week, we have budget and property. Anything else for the week of the 3rd?
We may end up with a budget and property next week.
Next week, like the week of the 27th?
Yes, that was for the discussion of the allocation for withdrawal. So,
So it's going to be a budget and property.
so that'll be a
Committee.
budget and, no, it will not be a meeting. Never mind. Never mind. It's a working session, so.
It's gonna be a working session.
I thought we decided we didn't need to make that a formal
Right,
meeting.
Right, you're gonna do a
No,
working session.
You're
not a-
correct. It's a working session. so,
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Okay, so the week of the 10th, we've got the community forum on Wednesday, and then we will have a public hearing on every other day that week.
We'll also have a communications meeting
Oh.
on the 11th.
Yes. And on the forum, you're going to have your Peterborough,
And the Peterborough public hearing right before,
yeah, and that's going to be at
6:15.
6:15.
And then the week of the 17th, we have a school board meeting on Tuesday. We'll do a public hearing before that. That will be at GES. The public forum will be 6:15. We have a snow date for the community forum on the 19th, but then we'll be scheduling public hearings at 6:30 on that Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday will be a snow date. And the final week in February, which is a vacation week, Just saying. We have a policy committee meeting on Tuesday and Selectmen's Advisory on that Thursday. Are you having communications?
Could you pencil one in for the 18th, and we'll come back to the 25th at the board meeting on the 18th?
Yes.
And we may want to break as a committee after the forum, or we may not be. So we could cancel it if necessary. But
Sounds good.
that'll give us some runway.
Okay. So I'm going to turn it over to Kathleen, who's going to give you an update on Title IX because there's been a change.
Good evening, everyone. What I'm going to read to you, and I am going to read it so that I am providing accurate information to you, is information that I've compiled from Allison Minatelli, Gavin Gray, and others from Wadley, Star, and Peters. This is in regard to the Title IX changes that have recently been made. You also have in your board packet some information, just a regular newsletter that also provides some of this information. So since our last board meeting, on January 7th, 2025, the Conval School Board discussed and agreed in a non-public session to hear a Title IX. Okay. I apologize. I'm going to update you in going to the next paragraph, so I apologize. On January 9th, the U.S., let me get this correct, U.S. District Court of the Eastern Division of Kentucky issued a finding that the 2024 U.S. Department of Education rule, which amended our Title IX, which was the 2024 Title IX, was no longer valid. The term that they use is vacator. Thank you. It means that the 2024 Title IX regulations were immediately made unlawful nationwide. So we are required to now implement the 2020 regulation, which in fact tonight you were going to do a second read on during our meeting this evening. So this became immediately put in place. It was as if the 2024 had not been ever available, that it was essentially taken off the shelf. That means that going forward, all of our districts all of our schools in the district need to be in compliant with the 2020 regulations for Title IX.
And as if you remember, we had already started to implement the 2020 in 3 of our schools, so now we'll just be consistent across all schools, which is
Are we going to now have to rescind our vote? Or is it just null and void because of the change in the law?
it's null and void. We're going to rescind, coming up, we'll rescind the, officially rescind the Title IX policy based on the 2024 regulations, and we've already put the 2020 policy in place, but we have one final revision that it came back and is on for second read tonight.
Okay,
So we'll be in good shape.
All right, thank you. Old business, FY26 budget default calculation, and we'll need to have a board vote on this evening, so we'll be speaking to the default.
So in your packet, you have a draft version of the default budget for 2026. The typical process is taking the current budget and making adjustments based on contractual obligations, one-time expenditures, and anything required by law. So we spent time, Dave Jack helped me with this one. So we went through line by line and pretty much discussed exactly what needed to stay in and what needed to come out. And we arrived at a final budget number of $58,128,149. This is a draft that went into the packet last week. Since that time, the Department of Revenue has approved our default budget, so I have the version with the signature pages ready for you to sign.
Any discussion? Janine?
Just confirming the difference is 1,301,988. Is that the difference?
Which page are you looking at?
I think I'm looking at the default budget. Appropriations, no, I don't think I am. Yeah, that's it, default, yeah, it's the default. So I'm just wondering what the difference is between the default and the proposed. So you said the default is 58,128,149?
Correct.
Okay,
Janine,
yes?
let me answer your question. The difference between the default budget, if you put in order the approved budget for last year, and the default budget and the proposed budget, there's about $898,000 difference between them. So the default is almost exactly in the middle of the fiscal year 25 approved budget and the proposed 26 budget.
Okay, thanks, Jim.
Yep.
I did project this slide that just summarizes the default budget and the difference between the default and the proposed from our budget hearing.
Mike?
You were asking about the 1,200 buildings.
Yeah, I was, but I don't know what I'm looking at. I'm not sure what I'm looking at. So what I wanted to know was what the difference are, and usually we talk about like what the cuts would be, where the cuts would be. But I think they're listed up there. Is that correct?
No, these are the different categories, the different object code categories.
Okay. Where it would be, we would be taking the money out of.
No, Janine, I think you need to look at each of the line items, the object codes in the existing budget to determine the default budget. Once you get the total, the 58,128, then if we have to work with the default budget, then you can go back and you're not tied to any line item. You're
Oh, I
tied to a
see.
total, not line item specific.
Okay, all right.
And in the past, we have not had that discussion. And we would likely not have this, we don't have time to have the discussion this year
Right.
until after the
That's right.
vote anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. This says the prior year adopted budget. And this is the operating budget, or is this the gross budget?
Are you looking at,
The operating budget, Jim.
Okay,
are you looking at,
I'm looking at,
the
I'm-
DOE?
I'm looking at the MSDSB
Okay.
2025 draft.
Rob, does that have the operating budget or does it, the gross budget?
And I'm looking at the first column, right, which is total operating budget appropriations for a prior year adopted budget. So on the last page of that MSDSB, says the total operating budget appropriations were 59,430,137. Right? And you're saying that our proposed budget is below that? Proposed budget on the wall behind you
Mhm. Yep.
is 59,021,446.
Correct.
But we know that there's an increase in budget.
Hey, Jim, which form are you looking at, the packet, form in the package?
In the package that the printed package for this evening.
MSDSB?
Yep. Last page of the MSDSB on page 14. Bottom line there, prior year adopted budget, 59,430, 137. The default budget is below that, as is generally what happens. And our proposed
I
budget,
think-
though,
I don't think this is the most recent draft that's in your folder. Is that correct, Rob?
That could be a possibility.
okay.
Have it in front of me. What do you want me to push this to the board? Drop it in the drive.
Yeah. If you drop it on the drive, I can project it.
Okay, it's the same as the electronic copy that's dropped in the folder.
I think Brenda's
Have they sent you?
is putting in a updated. Would it be better to Rob, to print it out and we could come back to it? We could go on to the high school and you could print it out for people? Send it to me.
Sure.
Let's, yep, we'll stop here and move on and then come back to this, Jim. Get your answer.
So I'm going to invite Heather McKillop up to speak to the high school's program of studies. You have a copy of it. We share a copy with the board. Heather's going to share, we always share the revisions that are made from the prior year, and then we'll ask you to officially vote and approve it at the next meeting.
All right, good evening. What I'm going to share tonight is the draft of our 2025-2026 program of studies. We call it a working draft because we finalize it in July. There are some things that inevitably will shift and change, such as enrollment numbers, sometimes specific titles of that oversee different aspects. But next week, we start course selection on Wednesday. So I just think it's important that we share with the board any small tweaks that we make as an administrative team. So we typically start doing that around September, October. We make any notes of things that we see either that could be improved or clarified or additions that need to happen. And we keep a working document, and then we make the proposed changes. So that's what I'm sharing with you tonight. One piece is the civics exam that we have, that 128 question exam that's required for graduation. The New Hampshire Education Department added a required competency assessment for graduation. So we specified that in the program of studies. So that language has been added. Also, in the past, if a student was to withdraw from a class, a W would appear on the transcript. So we would like to propose having either a WP or a WF. So to indicate the student withdrew while passing the class or they withdrew while failing the course. We do have some students for legitimate reasons or health-related reasons that need to withdraw from a course. So if they were passing, that would specify, and same with the reverse. So we'd like to add that in there as well. English language learner support. There was not a mention of that in our previous program of studies. We do have a few students right now receiving that daily support, so we did add some language about that. NCAA courses. So if we have a student that's interested in playing at the collegiate level for Division 1 or 2, there are some specific courses that you need to either to be eligible to start that from the very beginning. So we denoted those in our program of studies. I want to let you know that we have a whole batch of courses that we also currently have that we would like to submit for approval to the NCAA that would happen prior to July. So we wouldn't be creating new courses that currently exist but had not gone through that process yet. So we have denoted the ones that do count, and we'll be looking for more, hopefully, to be added to that list. So some of our students that know they'd like to play at the next level will be on par with some of what the NCAA requires. Advanced placement exams, a description of the AP exams were added in here. Also, the cost affiliated with that. Right now, the 2025 exam price is $99 per AP exam. And if there is a financial hardship, there's a waiver you can submit for $37 off of that $99 fee. Of course, if we had a student that was an additional need, we would help them. We don't want that to be a barrier to access at all. For career communication, one of the English electives, we've added the prerequisite of English 9 to that. And advanced placement AP Studio Art. That did exist in the 2018-2019 program of studies. It has not been present since. We have had the last 2 years. This current year right now, we have 15 students that are interested in AP, and our art teachers are helping supervise an ELO, an extended learning opportunity, to help them be prepared for that. Last year, we had 10 students. So we feel like it is at the place where we would put that back in the program of studies. Not everything in the program of studies always runs. We like to try our best to keep to that 22 to 25 students per class. Your recommendation for course enrollment, that target is not always hit, but we feel like we've gotten to a place where we'd like to add that to the program of studies if those numbers are there. Happy to take any questions.
Any question from board members? So what we're going to do is approve your draft. As we know, it changes based off of students and course selection, so it's pretty hard to predict what they're going to choose in the future. So any other questions? All right. Not seeing any, could I have a motion from the board to approve?
So moved.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Any further questions? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions. All right. Thank you, Heather. Sounds great.
Thank you. Would you
Heather
like me to
has-
stay?
Go ahead.
The other piece is we have a policy, IKG. When we add new awards, they need to be approved by the board. So at the end of the year, the high school gives out book awards, and we have some new book awards. In your board drive, there was a list of the new awards and a little description about them. But Heather's going to, did I just share everything you're going to probably share? I'm sorry.
You did a great job, Dr. Forrest. The only thing I'd like to add is that our school counseling team comes together and thoroughly goes through the requirements for each award and comes together to figure out what students could be applicable for that. And then if they feel as though a student might be a nominee, our process going forward is going to be to make sure that they reach out to the family to gain permission to have them be eligible for the award. And moving forward, there's going to be administrator joining the school counseling team on this committee that reviews everything. So we're very grateful about these book awards, and we hope we have, students. We like to nominate our students for as many things as possible. So I think that's all I have to share.
Board members have any questions? Janine?
So these are new. These are new book awards?
So there are new book awards. There have been some of these awards last year were possibilities. So these this list, we have a current long list. These are, and last year, towards the end of the award ceremony, some of these awards were ones that could be put into place for students. So upon the policy review, we wanted to make sure that we brought them forward. So it's exciting.
I'd like to move that we accept with gratitude these new awards and thank you for the work on the part of on the administration.
Can I have a second? It's been moved and seconded. Any further questions? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions. Thank you again, Heather.
Thank you.
We have a request to accept a gift from South Meadow School, authorizing them to accept from Jennifer and Scott Begley a check in the amount of $500 for the purpose of providing financial assistance for families of students who cannot afford the American Heritage Tour. Can I have a motion? Second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any questions? All right, seeing none, all those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions, great. Thank you, Bagleys. Can we come back to the default budget? Do we have that data? Okay,
So on the MSDSB, the total budget amount of $9,430,137 is $2.2 million higher than our,
Rob, you have to put your
sorry. So the default amount of $59,430,137 is $2.2 million more than the $57,230,137 that is on our proposed budget amount. And that is due to fund transfers of $1 million in food service and 1.2 in special revenues. So that's why it looks like the proposed budget is higher than our default.
So the numbers on the MS are correct?
Yes.
It just looks like that.
Right.
It looks like Jim's thinking it.
but it's the
No, I
prior
mean,
year
it-
adopted budget.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
it would be wonderful if were it true, but I don't want to leave anyone with the idea that this year's budget is lower than last year's budget. Yes.
all right.
So, yeah, so,
Okay.
you know, what's the real number for this year's proposed budget? I think ought to go on that slide that incorporates those.
$57,230,137.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
I don't know what you guys are looking at.
We're not
We're
looking,
looking at the MSDSB.
Which one?
The one for the default.
Did Rob just walk in the room with, putting a different number on than's in the book?
No.
no, Jimmy, didn't put a different number on the 2025 MSDSB. But the number he gave for the proposed budget was, no.
Propo-
You have an approved total operating budget of 57,209,000, or I can't quite read that.
Oh, now
Yeah.
it's in different.
Yeah,
130.
When
137.
did the default, we looked at the number of 57,230,137, which was the approved operating budget from last year.
Yeah, so I guess the question is, okay, so you have a food service transfer and other special fund revenue. And I've got to take that out? Well, the food service transfer number is still in there, but there's 1.2 million. That's reduced from the other special revenue. And that was money we took out of our budget and put into trust funds?
It's in, yeah, that's in the federal law. Title I, special ed.
Yeah, it's not, yeah, other special revenue.
Yes, that was your warrant articles for 250,000. Was it funds for 50,000? And it all totaled 1.2.
Wouldn't that be to expendable trust or non-expendable trust?
So Jim, what's your specific concern or question you want an answer to here now?
I just want to compare apples to apples. And I don't think we're doing that if we say that this year's proposed operating budget is less than last year's realized operating budget.
But if the form has required numbers, and that's the same form we've used every year,
Okay, if that's the way the form has to go in, I certainly will approve the form because that's the accounting language. What I disagree with is the chart that was put up that shows not what Jim is saying, that the default budget is in between the operating budget from last year and the proposed budget from this year, but rather that the default budget is,
So we're gonna have,
You know,
we're gonna have to
that's-
go, I think we're gonna have to go back and pull the, like,
I-
previous years.
I don't think it's correct to say that this year's budget is lower than last year's.
yeah, I hear you.
Can I suggest something?
Certainly.
Jim, you've got the annual report that we're gonna be approving here shortly. You go to page, oh Christ, I just lost it. Page 25 of that report. I think that shows the numbers the way we're used to looking at them. When you go to these MS reports, they recast things in a different way, and sometimes it takes a while to figure out why the numbers are different. And I've run it a number of times because sometimes numbers are included and they're not included. But if you go to the annual report on page 25, the bottom line shows the total gross budget. Approved gross budget for this year is $60,800,137. Proposed budget for next year is $61,391, and the default is $58,128,149.
Right. No,
Yeah.
I'm great with the way these are presented in the annual report.
Right.
right? Yeah, just the PowerPoint slide or whatever point slide.
So
that
what I hear
was-
you saying, you have
was
that
just
slide
put up
adjust,
there.
adjust the slide to show
Yeah,
what you see on the annual report in reference to the default budget.
yeah, when I look at that, my initial confusion, and the reason we're having this discussion is because it said our budget went down, and it didn't. So
Fine.
we need to change that somewhere.
So the adjustment will be made on, is that slide going to be used in a presentation?
We can, that, well, now we're.
Go back to your,
It's, the slide was looking at the total operational
Yep.
budget.
Yep.
So that's, we just, yes, I see what you're saying. We have to make sure that we're clear about.
And I think they're mislabeled because I think what he's saying is, on this, it says total operational budget appropriation, 59,430. But if you look up there, it says 57 something. I think that 59,430, 137 is actually the, not just the operational budget, but the total gross budget from last year.
It's not the total gross budget, but it's $2.2 million special revenue.
so if we're okay with the default budget, then the chart can be adjusted to meet Jim's request.
Right.
All right.
Right.
All right. So I'm going to ask for a vote on approving the default budget. Any questions, any further questions then? All right. All those in favor of the default budget as presented, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions. Okay, great. Draft warrant articles, okay, I think I have those here. We need to have a board vote for approving these. You should have the warrant articles in front of you. Anyone have any questions on the draft warrant articles? Okay.
Well,
Ann?
there was a conversation in budget and property that the way the warrant articles are currently written, we use the operating budget numbers, but in the past, we've used gross budget.
That's correct.
So,
We got a response from Dave, which was in a very detailed response. I asked him to boil it down. His response to that, he didn't really answer the question directly, so I sent back to him that seems to be endorsing the inclusion of the gross budget in the warrant article as opposed to just the operating budget. So I don't know, have you looked at his email? Has Rob looked at his email?
no, we have not.
I'm looking at it
But-
right now.
If we've always done the gross budget, why would we not keep doing
Yeah.
the gross?
Let
budget?
me attempt to explain to everybody what happened here. In the past, every year, the warrant article's been written based on the gross budget. The gross proposed budget and the default budget, which included in the past the non-operational budget numbers.
Mhm.
I'm still struggling to get over the last discussion we had, to tell the truth. Because, really, I just looked at the annual report, Rob. And on the annual report, page 25 referred to, you carry the operational budget, the operational default budget is 58,128, 149, and the lower number is the same number. It doesn't add. This is confusing. We should not be having this discussion right now.
Well, the one thing we need to do is we need to approve this warrant, so we need to get the figures in the operation budget, Article 1, confirmed on what numbers you want to carry in there.
Okay.
So, Jim Kingston, I see you have your hand.
Yes, it would be my preference that, again, in order to avoid confusion, if someone looks year to year, that we maintain the same apples to apples baseline that we're putting in the warrant year to year. So that would mean going back to putting the gross operating budget in this warrant.
Other board members, I agree, because that's typically what we have done. I think to change it would be confusing or could be confusing. So any objections to, all right, so those.
No,
who-
I think,
Go ahead, Jim.
I think we ought to do it that way, but then, Rob, I think we're gonna need to change page 26 of your annual report.
Noted.
Because you need to carry down the Title I federal programs ID of food services stuff down to the bottom line. That's the way we've always done it in the past. So that would make the gross budget number in the report different than what you're showing here.
Right. So the number that should appear, instead of the 59 million, it should read,
Hold on.
yep,
60,800,137.
That's this year's.
Oh, never mind.
Is it 60?
61 million,
60,498,149.
391,000.
say that again so everybody can get it.
60,498,149. I believe. Rob, can you check that?
That's the default calculation, I think.
No. The default calculation, the operational calculation is 58,128,149. You add 2,370,000. And you get the number I just read off.
Did you get that number, Brenda?
So, but did we confirm that that's not the default?
Let's just go with the operating budget. What is the operating budget?
60,498,149.
Is that it, Jim?
Hold on. What are you proposing, Dick?
The operation budget, what is the number?
For the default?
No, the operational budget number. So Brenda's numbers are accurate.
For the proposed or for the default?
Proposed operational budget.
59,021,466. The numbers that are in the warrant article are correct. We're going to stay with the operational budget.
So you need to use the word gross if you're switching to gross.
Okay, so
Right.
we're going to the gross.
We are going to the gross.
Okay. so
Which
the-
is what we've done in the past.
Okay, so what's the gross, Jim?
I've got that number if it's correct in the
The
annual
gross
report.
is, the gross proposed budget is proposed gross budget is 61,391,466.
Yes.
446.
Okay,
And the default is 60,498,149.
Yes. I would
Okay.
agree with both of those numbers.
all right. So,
And those numbers that were put in the warrant article are gross budget numbers, and they should be reflected on page 25 of the annual report. You just need to carry the total down, Rob.
Yep. That's how it is in the spreadsheet.
That's not how it's printed.
Yes, we'll fix page 25. There were changes
Right.
done on page 25 to match the MS 26, but
Yep.
we know exactly what changes to make on that page now, so that we are consistent throughout.
okay,
I just want to clarify.
yes, go ahead, Brenda.
Because I'm frightened. So the gross budget, because I have a scribble in it, is 61,391,446. Yes, thank you.
And you've got the default.
60,498,149.
Okay. All
It's
right.
let me read them to you, to make sure you got them again. 61391-466 and 446 and 60498-149.
Yes.
The default. Yes. Okay, good.
Thank you.
Okay. As simple as that was, let's move on. Are there any questions on any other warrant articles that are here? Those are pretty straightforward.
Can I make a note?
Please.
I changed Article 12 to reflect the update with today's resignation.
Okay, thank you. Yes, you weren't here, Aaron. Bill Bike resigned as of this morning. I've contacted the selectmen to see what they would like to do. All right, so our vote. No, we're just going to, yes, we're gonna vote on accepting the warrant. And we'll go through each article, the board's position on each of them. So in the past, the board has indicated whether they support or don't support or take no stance. The board can decide to just do nothing, not take any stance, say nothing. Typically, the board has said they support, they don't support, or there's no opinion on it. So once we do that, then we'll come back and then we'll assign people to speak to the warrant at the district meeting. So I'll go through these and we'll look at Article 1. Would the board like to take a stance on this, whether they would like to support, not support, or take no stance at all? I'll take a motion.
I motion that the board supports it.
Can I have a second? It's been moved and seconded. Any questions?
I couldn't hear exactly what he said.
To support, the board would support Article 1.
Gotcha. Okay.
With a
So we
correction.
recommend
Yes, we would
adoption
recommend it.
of this notice.
Yes. Right, all those,
We should use the language that's in the warrant article. The Conville School Board recommends or does not recommend adoption of this article.
right as it's printed. Okay. All those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions. Okay. Article 2, to accept the collective bargaining agreement.
I move that we recommend the adoption of this article.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. Article 3, special meeting,
Were there any abstentions or?
no, no abstentions. Article 3. And I could take a recommendation. The school board recommends.
I'll second that.
Can I have a second?
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Any questions? Seeing none, all those indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Abstentions. All right. Article 4. Could I have a motion for a board recommendation?
I move that we recommend Article 4.
I second.
It's been moved for the board to recommend Article 4 and seconded. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
nay. Abstentions. Okay. Article 5.
I move that we recommend Article 5.
I will second.
It's been moved and seconded for Article 5. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, opposed, nay. Abstentions. Article 6. I'll take a recommendation.
I move to recommend Article 6.
I will second.
It's been moved and seconded to recommend, the board recommends this. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
nay. Abstentions. Thank you. Article 7. I'll take a recommendation.
I move to recommend Article 7.
The-
No. No, I mean, I can move it. Someone can second it. We can vote it.
Hey, can I suggest that for these next three, that we actually just tell everybody what they are.
Show
If anybody's listening, they know Article 7 is withdrawal of Dublin, and 8 is withdrawal of Francistown, and 9 is the petition warrant article.
Do we want to just show of hands?
Well, you put the motion on the floor.
Okay.
Yeah, the board can take a stand or not take a stand or take no action at all. So for Article 7,
I withdraw my motion.
it's been withdrawn, the second is taken back. Okay. Who seconded? Jim, you take back your second?
I'll withdraw the second, recommend the board take no action on this.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, the board take no action. Any questions? Janine? Yes? All right, seeing no questions, all those in favor, indicate by saying.
I think we, I personally think we should take action and recommend or not recommend.
Well, that, I said, but we have to vote on what motion on the floor.
Motion on the floor is to, want to repeat it?
Motion on the floor is to take no position on Article 7.
All right. Any questions? All right. All those in favor indicate by raising your hand so we can see. This will be a yay vote. 1, 2, 3. Opposed?
I got my hand up.
1, 2,
Both hands
3,
up.
4, 5, 6, 7 opposed. All right. So that,
I move that we vote not recommended on, Article 7.
can I have a second? It's been moved and seconded. Any questions? Jim?
I would move that we have a number reported that this is not unanimous, should it not be unanimous.
Oh, yeah, we indicate the vote.
I would suggest a roll call vote too on these.
Yeah, we'll do that. Every vote, Jim, when we put it in, usually has a number, 12.
I know, I can't see names though. I can see hands from here.
Right. Well, then we'll do it. You can raise your hand and give your name. So, Janine, repeat yours, please.
I move that we vote not recommend on Article 7 for withdrawal
Okay.
of Dublin.
All right. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. Not recommending.
Favor of not recommending.
Not recommending. So, if you have your hand up, would you repeat your name, please, and then put it down?
Aaron.
Janine,
Curtis.
Dan. Alan.
Tom.
Did you get that?
I did.
Okay.
Jim,
All right. All right. Motion passes. Article 8. Can I have a
how
recommendation?
about not recommend and abstaining? I would recommend and abstain. You didn't ask for yeas and nays. You asked for people who supported Janine's
Yes.
motion, but not who's voted against it.
Well, you're right. I'm sorry. All those opposed, please raise your hand and
Yeah.
repeat your name.
Jim?
Mike.
Thank you for that. All right. Article 8. Can I have a motion?
I move that we vote not recommend for Article 8.
Can I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and second. Any questions? We'll do the same thing. All those in favor of not recommend, having the board not recommend this, please raise your hand and repeat your name.
Aaron.
Janine,
Curtis.
Dan. Alan.
Tom.
All those
Jim.
opposed, Jim, okay. All those opposed, please raise your hands and repeat your name. And say your
Jim?
name.
Mike.
All right. You got that, Brenda? All right. Article 9, petition warrant article. It requires a 3/5 vote. Does the board take a stand on this? Could I have a recommendation?
I recommend that the board vote, or no, I make a motion that the board vote not recommend for Article 9 on the petition warrant article.
A second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Questions?
Yes. I'm going to vote to not recommend adoption, but I want to make it clear that I support the spirit that this warrant is put forward in, that costs are out of control and we need to find a way to bring them back under control. I don't think that an arbitrary budget cap is the way to do that.
So noted in the minutes. Okay. I think we'll do a show of hands again.
Can I add to that comment?
Yes, sure. I have
I
questions.
don't necessarily agree that our costs are under control, but there's certain controls that we can't control that we need to control.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor of Janine's motion that the board not recommend supporting, please raise your hand and repeat your name. We'll go around. Start with Aaron.
Erin.
Curtis.
Dan. Tom.
And Dick.
Jim,
All right,
Unanimous.
it's unanimous. All right. Article 10, can I have a motion?
I move that we recommend passing Article 10.
Can I have a second? Been moved and second. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
nay. Abstentions. All right. Article 11,
I
Have a
move the
motion?
board recommends Article 11.
been moved and seconded. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
nay. Abstentions? Curtis said nay. Yeah. And abstentions? All right, seeing none, that's supporting it. I don't think we need to take a vote on Article 12. Just a comment, as one of my last desires was to change the salaries to board members, to increase it based off the number of hours that board members put in. And when I look at the salaries of selectmen throughout the Conville School District, I think it's justified to do that. But given where we are financially this year, that'd be a tough thing to bring forward and ask the board members to vote in favor of. But I certainly feel comfortable maybe coming back, not as a board member next year, and making that recommendation, because I think everyone here is deserving of that. It doesn't even come close to covering the costs that they put forward out of their own pockets, just meeting the needs of being a board member. So I will now get off my soapbox and move on with the agenda. So now we will assign who's going to bring it, the article forward. Jim, I will assume that you're going to speak to the operating budget,
yes,
unless somebody wants,
and I will.
okay. Collective bargaining. Could I have a volunteer to come to speak to the collective bargaining?
Appreciate it, Tom or Janine or Curtis.
All right, Janine's gonna do it. Article 3, anyone want to speak to that? That's just looking for the special meeting. Basically,
Janine, why don't you do both? It makes sense. We can
Oh,
do it
yeah,
together.
yeah, special meeting.
all right, thank you. Article 4, capital reserve,
What does speaking to it entail?
say again.
What's involved in speaking to it?
Just speaking to the article and what it means. So why are we using the funds? So we put it in the capital reserve funds for future demands within the school district to offset, unanticipated cost. Basically, it's just describing what is here.
I think somebody from budget probably should handle the next three.
All right, who wants to take on a budget property?
Come on, Greg.
He did. He just volunteered. Hand went right up when he heard your voice. All right, Article 5, Energy Trust Fund. Jim, okay, thank you. Building Capital Reserve Fund, who's speaking to the first one? You might want to speak to the second one.
Or the third one.
I knew you would. I could tell the sparkle in your eye. Article 7.
Not really.
Mike's gonna do 7, and Curtis, you're gonna do 8. Petition warrant article. He wants to speak to the petition warrant article.
I can do
Tom? Okay, Tom said he'd do it.
Good.
Accepting reports, agents and auditors.
I'll take that one.
All right, Aaron's gonna do 10 and Dan's gonna, do 11. All right, that takes care of all the assignments. Approve the annual report.
With adjustments to the revenues.
And
Sorry, I
page
said,
25,
yes. I think that is the
And-
revenues page. Yep.
and the other page we talked about earlier today, and page 15, I think it was.
Yep, the financial report.
Right. And the warrant article, page 1, that we talked about, the gross budget.
Yes. And we'll put in the recommends, not recommends.
Okay, so I move that we approve the annual report with adjustments and the added recommendations or not recommendations.
Questions? Can I have a second? Let's move to
Second
second.
it.
All right, questions? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions, all ayes, okay. I'm not sure you're gonna be able to sign the MS-26 tonight, are you? No. So, once that's ready, though, you're gonna need board signatures, so we'll ask people to come in and sign. So,
Or we may be able to do electronic signatures.
okay, all right,
We're
so
gonna
we'll
see. We
notify
have
you one
done
way or the
that.
other.
DRA will let us do that. Through DocuSign? Yes, I think we can get that set up.
Okay. Expense and encumbrance report.
And we missed.
Did I miss something here?
Yes, because we jumped to the high school when we were at the default budget, and then we jumped down to the high school.
Okay, so,
If you go back to, we were here, and then we kind of jumped over all of these things, so the letter.
okay, yes, okay. Communications.
Do you want to,
Communications, state representatives, and senators.
I was just passing it around. There were
oh,
some comments.
Okay, so it's going around to be signed now. Okay. So we don't have to have it go out tonight if it needs to be
Right.
fixed because it can go out the next time we meet if we want.
This
So,
is the letter on a special education?
yes,
Yeah, and I 100% support getting this letter out because I think it's a travesty that the federal government is imposing these unfunded mandates on us for special education. And we need to do something about the way special education costs are funded in our schools. And it's just the language and the lack of complete sentences in a couple places that need to be fixed before it goes out.
so
All for fixing.
we'll be back. Okay. Looks like we're at policy second read.
So policy ACAC is back. That is the policy under the 2020 rendition or the version, the 2020 version. So all of our schools are now back under the 2020 Title I federal regulation. So consequently, our policy ACAC changes. There's only one difference. In adoption is on page 2 of the 21 page, I think it's a 21 page policy. It's not 21, that's the whole thing. Is under sexual harassment. The words in parentheses that are crossed out, including without limitation, gender, sexual orientation, and or gender identity, is now taken out, deleted, and we simply added the words as defined by Title IX. So we will be following the 2020 Title IX regulations. So I would, if you could entertain a motion
Yes,
to
please.
adopt ACAC. I move that we adopt the new policy, for second read, policy ACAC, which reflects the court requirement, the legal requirement that we now abide by the 2020 Title IX regulations.
Have a second? It's been moved and seconded. Any questions?
Greg?
All those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions. Okay, thank you.
Okay, and then we have policy KFD, the use of automated external defibrillators. And for second read, we'd like to adopt that policy now. And if I may make a motion, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt policy KFD, use of automated external defibrillators.
Second?
Second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions. Great, thank you.
And under new business, we will rescind policy ACAC that had been adopted from the 2024 Title IX regulations now, and in their place will be the 2020 regulations.
I'll take a motion as read. And a second. Been moved and seconded. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions. Thank you. Right. Are we now? It's reports.
There isn't,
There isn't any.
but a gift, the South Meadow gift.
we did that.
We did that.
Oh,
We did that.
We did that?
Yep.
Oh. Oh, it's the manifest. Sorry. Now I'm mixing everything up.
Mhm.
So in your packet, you have a expense and encumbrance report as of December 31st, 2024. And similar to my remarks from the last month's report, there are a few spots where we're heavily encumbered for professional services and transportation. So there's some pretty large negative numbers, but overall, that's fairly typical. If it's any peace of mind, a year ago in December of 2023, you had a 15.42% budget balance, and this year you have 19.15. So you were actually, in comparison to a year ago, you're a little bit ahead of the game. Yeah.
Yay.
And this is the time of year that we're going to start watching purchase orders and encumbrances and seeing what we can release and get a better sense as we go into the spring what our actual budget looks like.
Jim Kingston, I see your hand.
Yeah, I see that overtime is significantly overspent, and that's going to actually require a budget transfer.
Yes.
Again, when we do budget transfers, I know this board has agreed that we'd understand where that money is coming from. So you haven't done it yet, so we don't need to know yet, but when you do it.
When it happens, we'll be the first to know.
And
Go ahead.
I'm going to guess that because I think of facilities as an example, they're down, are they down 3 people?
Yes.
Oh, they're down a number of people, which is causing other people to have to work more.
Right.
So, but yes, we'll bring the explanations forward.
Can I have a motion to accept the report?
I move to accept the expense and comes report and all encumbrances included therein.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions, very good. Portion for public comment. Is there anyone who would like to speak to the board? Please name and town and hit the little mic button.
Still on from last time. Good evening, Blake Minkler from Dublin. I just want to make a note for the official record that the petition warrant article for the budget cap by no means originated or was discussed or formulated by the Dublin Education Advisory Committee. That body had absolutely nothing to do with that petition warrant article coming forward. That was an individual effort on myself to bring forward awareness throughout the district of our financial situation. And by no means does it reflect or have anything to do with the DEAC. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. We do have some non-public sessions to go into, so could I have a motion to go into non-public under RSA 91-A:3, Roman numeral 2, for legal advice, and that would be under E, Roman numeral 2, L for I, or I believe that's L for legal. And we have to recite our names as we approve. So Dick, yay?
Erin, yes.
Jim, yes.
Mike, yes. Tom, yes.
Jim?
Yes.
All right, we're going to non-public. Thank you.
to go? All right, I would. Yep.
Board's back into public session. I would like to entertain a motion on moving forward with the selection of superintendent for the Conval School District.
I would like to put forward a motion that we enter into contract negotiations with our current interim superintendent, pending successful negotiations, hiring her as a permanent superintendent for the district.
Can I have a second? It's been moved and seconded. Any questions? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstention. Let the record say unanimous vote by board members. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And moved and seconded, and all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Thank you all. Good night.